Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the channel. Let's talk about the exciting World Cup we've had so far. A lot of exciting games in match day one. A lot of surprises. Some of the favorites not performing as we expected. Some surprising underdogs. And so far, for all the angst coming into the tournament, where we had a lot of concerns about the host nation of America, the ticket in, the visas, all that coming in pre-tournament. This has been probably one of the most exciting match day ones in the World Cup in recent memory. It's very exciting. So many goals. Like there, there are very few goalless draws. So far it's been exciting. Hopefully keep some of this pace into match day two for the games that are coming up. But I want to talk a little bit about some of the results we've seen, some of the surprises, and highlight a few teams that we've seen so far. So, so far we've seen like almost three at 3.26 goals per game. There's 9 draws, but if most of them have goals in them, it's only been like I think one goalless draw, 88 games. And if you look at it from the zones momentum board, come to see where the favorites stack the top nations coming into the tournament. I mean, France is still they're they're favored based on the the results. Argentina is has moved up. England, Germany, Colombia, and Spain and Brazil, who had disappointing first draws, have been moved down, and Portugal as well. So that's interesting to see. I mean, my like I said before the tournament, my pre-tournament favorite were Spain, France, Argentina, and England. So three out of four teams had a good um initial match, first match, but obviously Spain had that surprising draw. But it's still if one game in. I mean, Argentina lost the first game of last World Cup and still won the tournament. So just you don't want to go too much on based on that one result. We'll see. But yeah, I mean, there's been even though there's been high scoring games and some of the score lines have looked dominant, there I think what we've seen is that a lot of the favorites have faced opposition. They've been competitive games. Like they haven't just walked all over these teams. They've been you know, good defensive shapes by all the opposing teams, even the underdogs, and it's caused some of the favorites to struggle to break them down. So that's been entertaining to watch. So if we kind of look at the way Spain kind of played, highlight a little bit on them. I mean, they had a lot of possession, a lot of shots, but very few shots on goal. And um, you know, Cape Verde had a very good performance in that game, and a lot of teams that are not like super high flying position teams, um, like Morocco, Cape Verde. Well, Morocco is a little bit different because Morocco actually dominated possession against Brazil. But like some of these teams are very good in transition, very good defensive shape, but it's kind of exciting tournaments with about count like contrasting styles, right? We're having like the high possession top favorites versus like the counter attack and defensive solid type of teams, and it's been making for exciting games. So if you break down the top teams like we talked about, like if you look at them like Spain, yeah, I mean they had probably the most possession, but and they created about 2 goals, 2 XG, but couldn't finish. And that might be because you had Yamal and Nico Williams start off from the bench, come in the game. The wing play wasn't direct enough. They didn't execute. France, that first half was very rough. They were underwhelming. It was a competitive game between them and Senegal, and then they turned it on that second half, got those 2 extra goals and won the game. But they didn't dominate possession per se like that. Argentina was very solid defensively and very clinical. See by Messi's goals, they didn't like create a bunch of chances, but when they got their chances, they were very clinical. And then England was very offensive in this game. They had a lot of attacking threat. Defensively, they're a little bit lacking, but they had like the most offensive touches in the opponent's box, I think. So they got to work on the defense. But that's kind of what's going on with the top teams in this tournament so far. And yeah, I mean Spain, the infamous black hole, right? not a lot of attacking threat on wing play until Yamal and Nico Williams came in the game in the second half. So they need to do that. It's the first time since 2022 where they've had 49 shots and 2,500 passes without a game. So they need to definitely get their verticality in their game back that they missed in the first game that they had in the Euros. So they got to work on that. Yeah, France in the first half was a little bit flat, but then the second half they just they changed the pace a little bit. Elise, Mbappe started to contribute more, get more dangerous attacks in, and they're able to cause an asymmetric overload and get more going down that right hand side and got some opportunities and put them away. I mean, Argentina's game was just yeah, they were just solid in the counterbalance and for defensive counterbalance was pretty good. They stopped they stopped Algeria's threat. Algeria had literally no shots on target, I think, and then when they got opportunities, they they buried them with Messi's brilliance. But they do have to work on getting other people more involved. Julian Alvarez didn't look that into the game. He didn't look that sharp. So Lautaro Martinez also they need to get going as well to help Messi out if they want to win this tournament again. Look at some of the African teams and the way they performed so far. They've been very good defensively. They've been able to get good results. I mean, Cape Verde was the most impressive to be able to hold out Spain to a goalless draw. It's very impressive. Morocco was very impressive with Morocco in the first half. I felt like they had the better of the game. They outplayed Brazil. In the second half, it was a little bit um, more Brazil's way, but impressive performance for me. Egypt also had a good performance against Belgium, which is a dark horse. They did good, and then DR Congo, versus Portugal is very impressive as well to shut down Portugal. So the two African teams that won was a little bit highlights, and I mean Ivory Coast had a very good performance against Ecuador, which surprised because Ecuador is a good team for the most part. They're not amazing like an attack or anything, but they're a good team. So Diamande had a good performance there, creating the chances and getting the goal. With Amad Diallo's called in the 90th minute. And Ghana, I want to highlight as well, a little bit biased because invested in Ghana. Um, and they got that last pretty much final minute goal to close the game in a game that the first half they were very underwhelming and they were very pushed back. But with the circumstances coming to the World Cup, it's also understandable. They had no prep time. It's a new young team. The coach hasn't had any competitive games with the team. He's starting to learn his team, so it's just like a lot of new beginnings. So I was impressed by their defensive solidity and the structure, but offense wise, they had nothing that first half. In the second half, they got a little bit better, and then in the end of the game, they finished with that with that amazing finish. And hopefully that bodes well for them going into the next two games where they only need a point to qualify. So that's good for Ghana. And the one thing that we did notice in the first game is that there was no Thomas Partey, so that didn't help with the build up and in the midfield transition. So Panama had a lot of ball dominance and was very effective in the first half, especially. And also Atiziki, the goalkeeper, who was having a good game in the first half, also was injured and sent off, but Asari came in and did a good job. So overall, it wasn't an amazing performance, but it was good enough, and the 3 points were the most vital thing, and they got it. And yeah, I mean, you can see from this activation chart, the first half was pretty flat from Ghana. In the second half, you can see they started getting better. And when they made a double substitution of Thomas Asante and Fatawu, it really picked up from there. And then Ghana got the counter and scored from that. So amazing second half, especially after the 60th minute. So other African teams like South Africa, defense, if Miss frailties came to play in the first game against Mexico, they really had those red cards really killed them, and they lost the game. I think they in yesterday's game they did get a draw, so that's better. But yeah, the first game that was really bad. And Tunisia also, surprising because we expected more from them. They collapsed against against Sweden, so they have to do better defensively there. So, I mean, match day one, um, some of the things to highlight. I mean, the some of the underdogs put out very good defensive performances and had very good results. Some of the favorites had not so good offensive performances and need to be better. But overall, I think the teams we expected to dominate to be the favorites, most of them performed well, except for Spain. And for some of the African teams, most of them have done a good job, especially holding out against the favorites, with some few exceptions. And Ghana and Ivory Coast doing a good job getting those 3 points on the board. So hoping to see some of those, one of those teams go farther into the tournament. So hoping for some good results. And overall, it's been exciting. I mean, exciting games all around. And I can't wait for the second match day because match day one has been very good. So that's all I had for you today. Hopefully the World Cup continues to be exciting. Have a good time. And yeah, that's all I have for today. Um, feel free to subscribe, like the video, and thank you for watching. So remember, Jesus loves you.